afternoon. I think we've spoken enough about Europe, USA. There's obviously a lot happening out there. At Mountain River, we've been thinking about China for about 12 years. They say in China that things happen slowly, that things take a long time to happen, but they happen quickly. This is the Bund, along the Bund in Shanghai, and in the Shanghai market in the last 6 months, we've got about 30 customers who are putting venison on the menu, and the good news is that they're getting resale. So it's not just being delivered and a one-off sale, it's ongoing. We started exporting to China about 5 years ago. We had some sporadic demand, but as you all know, access to China is pretty tricky. Getting product in there was quite difficult. On one occasion, we produced product in May for an air freight shipment, and it finally got into the market in January the following year. The problem with that is it's pretty tricky to offer the chef continuity of supply. So where we got the product on the menu, suddenly it was back off. Other problems with that, how do I control the machine? Here we go. Is that the price structure can be quite expensive if we're air freighting product and then there's long lead times to get the products cleared. So we found that the price on the menu, or the price to the chef, was too high to work, and then it didn't sell on the menu. We've had some results of the research come in, which was discussed earlier on. Marianne presented that. I was going to talk a bit about it, but pretty much Chinese don't like venison, which actually, for us, it's actually the opportunity, because we have a different product, and we can therefore start to look at what's the niche for venison in China. This is the view along the Bund. On the opposite side, this is the view. In 1990, that was a field. Takes a long time, but it happens quick. The Park Hyatt there is one of our customers. They're serving a venison loin on their menu. They're also looking at dishes for their buffet menu. That restaurant starts at, the hotel, the Park Hyatt Hotel, starts at floor 87. In that area, you can imagine it's 5-star hotels and lots of business offices. The Jing An Shangri-La, another one of our clients, recently hosted a lunch for the Prime Minister, and venison was on the menu for that. It was the main item. Distribution's a challenge in China. The old cold chain's not too secure. It's quite hard to get the products into China, but we've got to get the product. A chef that I met recently, he said, if the product's not minus 15, because it's all frozen for China, of course, if it's not minus 15, it's rejected. And I thought, how the hell do we do that? So we came up with a new distribution structure. The old chili bin on a trolley. The chap there, his name's Hunter McGregor. He's a good Kiwi, born in Roxburgh, married to a Chinese lady, and he's been working with us for about 4 years. Initially we started, he was our eyes in the market, so the business that we were developing, he was helping us to develop to the next stage. But we struggled at every turn, and especially with these problems with importing the products, having them in the market, we couldn't guarantee the customers any continuity. So Hunter, we committed to putting stock in the market. We send up container loads and put it in a cool store in Shanghai, and there we can say, we've got 10 tonne of product. We only need 30 customers. Let's see how it goes and see what works on the menus. If you think back to the Bund photo, this is the restaurant that the arrow was pointing to. Hunter, he's a bit of a one-man band. It's a shoe leather operation. But the key for us in terms of doing this test marketing is that he's talking to the chefs. So he's our distribution, he's our sales, and he's our research. So he's doing all of those activities, which is pretty important. And also there's this challenge in China of making sure that you don't have extra costs on the way to getting products into restaurants and some of these hotels, five-star hotels, or any business in China. In fact, it's a constant fight to avoid, the extra cost. Marianne mentioned that Chinese don't like so much eating red meat or eating rare meat. They don't like blood. They're not familiar with that. Pork's the big item in China. It's about 40 kilos per person. The market's about 50 billion tonnes. We're only looking for a tiny, 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 tiny market. One of the solutions to the problem of how Chinese might eat venison, there's two things about this. One is it's a braised item, slow cooked, so it's fine to have it well done, of course, and Chinese like bone. So any dishes with bone, it's an immediate attraction. So this is a product that works on buffet menus, lunch buffet menus. This is the menu from the restaurant on the Bund. It's quite a prestigious Western restaurant, and along that area there are quite a few of them. So we've picked off two already, and Hunter's job is to continue picking them off. This one, what have we got? This is a starter this is a main course where they're using a rump to do a smoked New Zealand venison, and it's 258 RMB or renminbi, which is 57 New Zealand dollars for the dish. One thing about China and Shanghai, there's quite a few Ferraris there. At this end of the market, they don't mind. They want good quality products. And of course, I suppose one of the advantages or one of the opportunities for us is because it is so hard to get products into the market, if you can solve the problem, you've got something pretty good for the chef. So the chefs of these restaurants, they struggle to get good products. They need authorised products now. They have to be certified as from New Zealand. When Hunter's delivering products to a five-star hotel, one of them, in fact, the Shangri-La, he walks along the street with his trolley. When he gets to the basement of the hotel, he pulls out of his backpack a white coat and a white hat, puts them on, and then he walks around to the delivery dock. And he presents them with a copy of the health certificate coming out of New Zealand, the stamped certificate coming into China, a copy of the order, and probably some other documents. And there's 2 or 3 Chinese staff there having a good old investigation, earning their keep to make sure everything's right. And if it's not, it's go home Hunter. This is another customer of ours in China. This is a German, this is a German restaurant chain. It's owned by Chinese. So it's got a bit of a Chinese flavour to it. It's not strictly German cuisine. They can come up with the venison season being spring. The dishes they're serving there on the bottom left, we've got ribs, venison ribs, and in the skillet at the top middle, that's a goulash, a venison goulash. The pricing on that one is 158 renminbi, which is 35 New Zealand dollars. This is from 1515 West, which is reputedly the top steakhouse in China. I've asked a few times how they know that. Nobody can tell me, but they claim it. And I think their top dish on this steakhouse is Australian beef. you can spend $800 to have a nice Australian beef cooked for, I think it's for 3 people. 5-star hotel again. We did a promotion with Graham Brown at this particular establishment, and old Brownie came over to me. He was all excited because the guy who designed the iPhone was in the restaurant and he wanted the venison special. This menu is the lunch menu, where we have venison short rib. There's 3 options on the fixed lunch menu: the salmon, the steak, and the venison. We don't outsell the steak, but we do outsell the salmon. This is the dish. It's a venison rib with a caramelised carrot and a puree, potato puree. This little function at the Jing An Shangri-La, we had a venison tenderloin, and I understand it went pretty well. They cooked it rare, which is a bit interesting. The chefs I've met in China, they say, yeah, Chinese don't like their meat cooked rare, but tastes are changing. Same thing, things happen quickly, but they take a long time. I spoke to a food writer when I was in China and asked what the major food trends were or are at the time. Their main issues, especially for the market we're targeting, the top-end food service, is around the environmental impact of the food that they're eating, the production of the food. And they're specifically thinking there about pork and the episode of the pigs floating in the river. Pork production is huge in China, but it has huge environmental impact. Each pig apparently produces 5 kilos of poo a day, and I think that's part of the reason why they had the crackdown, because all these small farmers around the metropolitan areas, it was a major issue for the cities. So people are thinking really hard about environmental issues. And this is something that's a consistent theme across all the presentations today, that the environmental credentials of our product have to be unchallengeable. And we have to think pretty hard about the types of feed that we're giving our animals and how they're looked after. It's absolutely critical if we're going to get the value. I would say we're not looking for a mass market in China. 1.4 or just under 1.4 billion people. If they ate 3 grams of venison a day, they'd take 1/3 of our production. That's the whole industry's production. So we're looking for a niche market, and to get the value out of that market, we have to have a top product. So that's all I'm going to talk about today, and hand it back to Madam Chairman. Thank you very much.